Hey, you've all followed my journey with She Plus and might be thinking about starting your own podcast. Well, I'm here to tell you to use Anchor for yours. Let me explain. Anchor is a completely free platform that allows you to record and edit your episodes right from your computer. Easy, right? Well, that's actually not all. Anchor also sets you up for success by distributing your podcast to platforms like Spotify and Apple. You don't even have to lift a finger. And finally, you can make quick, easy money on Anchor, even if you have a smaller audience. It's everything you need all in one place. Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today.
I am proud to be a woman.
Girls and women are
powerful,
beauty,
badass,
feminine,
passion,
equality,
power, professional,
diligence,
advocates for change.
Hey everybody, welcome back and welcome to the first version of She Plus and the first episode. I'm really excited to have this be the new and more inclusive version of She Is. And if you haven't seen my stuff yet on social media, definitely go take a look. It'll give you a better understanding of why we're moving in this direction and what everything will look like moving forward. As for our first guest on She Plus, I want to turn your direction to Cecily Hennigan. She's an incredible individual with a very unique and different story. She tells us a little bit more about how she went viral and how she learned to deal with that. Now, keep in mind, she's only 17 years old, which is, I really can't even think about it. So all of this stuff is unbelievable that she's dealt with already just at 17 years old. I remember when I was 17, I was a little knucklehead or whatever you want to call it. So anyways, get excited. It's going to be an awesome interview and a great episode, and excited for it to be the kickoff episode for She Plus. Everybody, welcome back to the podcast today. I am really honored here to be introducing you to our next guest. This is Cecily that I have here with me on the line. So we're doing a phone interview, so it'll be different than anything you've heard before, but really excited to hear her story and her journey. Fortunately enough, I've met her through my sister, so really excited to get to dive in a little more and hear about Cecily's journey. So before we get there, would love to hand it over to Cecily so that she can introduce herself.
Hey, y'all. My name's Cecily. I am a newly 17-year-old. I'm born and raised from Conway, South Carolina. I love music with a burning passion and just living life to the fullest.
Awesome. That is great to hear. Well, thank you, Cecily, for being on our podcast. So let's start from the beginning. So how did you get interested in music? You say that you love it and you're a huge fan, and I definitely know that from your experiences, but tell us a little bit more about how you first started being passionate about it.
Well, I grew up around music. My parents do music, whether it was at a professional stance or whether it was just around the house. My dad sang a lot, so music was basically in my blood. But I actually, growing up, kind of denied the fact that I was a musician. I guess it was just kind of a part of my daily routine that I didn't see it as a career that I wanted to take. But when I got in middle school, actually in 7th grade, I was basically forced to sing a solo at a Christmas concert, and I was terrified. I was shaking out of my skin, and I just, I got on stage and I was like, okay, just get through the song and it'll all be okay. And by the end of the solo, I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. This feeling that I just got singing this song, I want this feeling in my life every day if I can have it. And from that moment forward, I just started to pursue music more, performing wherever I could, whether it was more at school or at churches or on the side of the street, anywhere that I could sing, I wanted to be singing because it brought me so much joy and I wanted it to be a part of my daily life.
So that led you, now flashing forward a couple of years, now to the governor's school where you were there, and that's actually how our paths kind of indirectly crossed. So how did you land there? How did you get to the governor's school, and what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, so when I was in middle school, actually, we had a recruiter come when I was in the 8th grade. We had a recruiter come and tell us about the governor's school. At first, when I was hearing her talk about it, I'm like, there's no way I'd ever, even consider auditioning for a school like that. That sounds way too prestigious for me. I don't think I'd be able to handle it. But then when she told us about the summer programs that they had, I thought, okay, well, maybe that could give me a little bit of insight on how the school is if I could get in. So I actually auditioned for the summer program and ended up getting in, which was huge for me, and I was so excited. So I went to the summer program, and I loved it so much. Met so many incredible people, including your sister. I just thought, if this is what I feel just in 2 weeks of being here, I want to learn just like this more and more. So that led me to want to audition for the high school. I auditioned during my sophomore year and got in. Getting in was definitely a huge blessing in my life and also a great learning opportunity. So
it's a different high school experience, and I've heard it myself a little bit. You focus more on exactly what you're going there for, is the vocal and the dancing and the arts and everything, and it's truly an amazing experience. I certainly can promise that my high school experience was a little different. So what were the main differences, and what did you have to adjust to in the time that you were there?
It's actually 4.5 hours away from my hometown here. So it was definitely a stretch for me going out there. But I've always been a pretty independent person. I thought I'd be fine, still close enough that if anything were to happen, I'd be good. But I think the hardest thing for me was literally making decisions for myself every step of the way. I knew how to be independent, and I knew how to live on my own and make day-to-day decisions, but things that would change, who I am as a person or where my career ended was hard for me to make those decisions while I was there. And also basically starting from the ground up as a person that didn't know hardly anyone that was at the school, that was definitely difficult for me. Even though I'm a very outgoing person, I consider myself to be pretty friendly, and making new friends has never really been an issue for me, but it was challenging being in an environment with people who loved their art as much as you loved your art. And from my town, there's support in the arts, but there's not so much support to the point where everyone is thriving in their art area or everyone is killing the game over here. There's not that much going on. So to go to a school where every single person is pursuing their art with their whole heart was a different environment, and it was challenging, and I felt like I wasn't putting forth as much effort as I should have been just from the beginning, and it definitely did take a toll on me throughout the rest of the semester that I was there. But it was a growing experience for me as a person and as a musician, and I learned a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine. I just hear from offhand experience as well that it's difficult. And honestly, when you're in an environment like that where, like you said, everybody, that is their niche, and you go from, you are the big fish in the small pond, and then you go into a huge pond and you're a little minnow. It's really hard to get used to not being number one or whatever it is. And we'll get to, I don't think the audience knows about your journey. They might, but they might not. So, but before we get there, do you miss the governor's school now that you're looking back on it?
Well, at first, I didn't miss it at all. I felt like it was drawing me back in many ways. It was definitely a mixture of a bunch of things. The environment, the being away from home, the feeling like I wasn't growing, and then me just not even putting forth enough effort. It was a mixture of a lot of things that made me not want to be there. But over the time that I've been gone, sometimes I think back, if I would have been in a better situation personally and would have put forth a little more effort, I feel like I maybe would have been more successful. But I'm also a big believer in that most things happen. I mean, everything happens for a reason, but I definitely think that was something that I needed to experience, but something that was only supposed to last for a certain amount of time. Even though I beat myself up sometimes and I'm like, Cecily, you worked so hard to get in there. Why are you leaving? I definitely think that I learned what I needed to learn while I was there, personally, musically, but now that I'm gone, I can take what I've learned and kind of learn from it and change how I think and how I live and how I work now that I've kind of seen a little bit of rock bottom for me as a person and as a musician.
It's hard to leave something like that behind, but I guess now we can kind of walk through and reveal to the audience what happened since. So you went to the governor's school for a little bit of time, and then what happened next? Walk us through the very beginning and how you basically went viral.
So I think it was about a week before move-in day was in August. I was with two of my best friends because that was our last time hanging out before I moved away. And they had just finished seeing me play a show at a local coffee bar, and we ended up hanging out the rest of the night, and we were super hungry. And it's about 11 o'clock. There's not much open. But we're like, okay, McDonald's is open. McDonald's is always open, and McDonald's is cheap on the side of what we're dealing with right now. We only had probably $5. And I was like, okay, McDonald's is the move. We're going to go to McDonald's. So we go, and one thing led to another, and I thought of this song that one of my favorite YouTubers had sung in a McDonald's drive-thru. And I learned it when I was a kid, but I hadn't heard it in so long, I didn't really think I'd remember it. So I ended up going through the drive-thru and singing the song, basically my order. And my friends videoed it, and we laughed it off for a little bit. And then the next day, we still had the video. We hadn't posted it or anything, but my mom had a few friends who were excited to see it because my mom had talked to them about it. And they asked me if I could post it on Facebook for them to show their mom or their son or whatever. So I posted the video probably a day and a half after it even happened. And within like 2 days, it had blown through the roof and was getting so much attention. It had basically been viral at that point, and I was getting a lot of opportunities to do like news, videos and interviews and stuff like that. And so that was kind of my life the day before and the day of move-in day for governor's school. And it was definitely exciting, but it had also distracted me from focusing on, oh my gosh, I'm about to move into the school that I've worked my butt off to get into, that I've dreamed of for a while, that I'm so excited for. And even though it was super exciting to have this viral video, but also exciting to be going to this school that I, had dreamed of going, it was like trying to balance the excitement of both of them that I was struggling with, because both of them were really awesome, but I think I was drawing more towards the, viral video happening, because that never happens once in a blue moon, like that you would expect that to happen to you. So I think that I drew so much closer to the video going viral that I really didn't think about what I was doing. Like, I'm about to move 4 hours away at the age of 16 to go to an art school with the most incredible teachers and incredible students and learn from them. And I think that was like the first strike of me like falling off, was me completely taking everything else into more like focusing on everything else that's going on in my life other than, the school. I definitely had to learn how to focus on, being at the school instead of, the viral videos that's going on. But throughout the first week and a half that I was there, the video kept blowing up and more opportunities were coming, and it was just one thing after another. And it was like trying to be excited for, this video and trying to take every opportunity I can get, but also keeping up with my high school classes that I have to take and pass to graduate, and learning all that I can about music and my voice and everything. And there's just a lot going on, and I don't think that I was prioritizing the things that were really important. I think I was just focusing a lot on what was super exciting happening in front of me, and that definitely took a toll on me and my grades and how I was as a student at the governor's school. But I'm kind of glad that it happened, because it did teach me a lot. But you live and you learn.
Yeah, no, I understand. I can't even imagine being recognized the way that you were, and having to balance all of that at once has to be pretty tough. And, high school classes are certainly not easy, and the governor's school is certainly not easy by any means. So I can imagine for sure. So, but that's not where the journey stops, obviously. So what happened with the Steve Harvey Show? How did you get there? And as you explain, I'd love to hear what's Steve Harvey really like? Did he remember your name and your title, or did he mess it up like the Miss America competition? So would love to hear a little more about that.
I think it was like the second week of school. At that point, I thought, okay, the video's kind of just going to be a dud now. It's kind of going downhill. Videos only last like a week when they're viral. And then I get a phone call from a number that's from Los Angeles, California. Why not answer it? What if this is like someone big in LA, but you can only dream. And so I answer the phone, and it happens to be a producer from the Steve Harvey Show. And that was how they opened the phone, like, hi, this is so-and-so from the Steve Harvey Show. And I was like, this is a joke. This is someone playing with me. I really, truly thought that it was one of my friends just pranking me, but she went on to tell me that she had seen the video and how they were interested in possibly having me on the show, and if we could have some interviews and talk on the phone a few times before they make the decision. And I was like, heck yeah. From that moment, the rest of the week, we had multiple interviews over the phone, and actually, which I don't think I've shared this really anywhere because nothing really came from it, but 3 days after I got the phone call from Steve that the Ellen show called, that was like, what? Ellen DeGeneres show is calling me? Little girl from Conway, South Carolina? No way. It was awesome, but these are the kind of decisions that I'm having to make right now with my life. Like, what is happening in my life? And I remember that being actually a big struggle on my school grades, especially because I was so stressed about making these interviews and talking to these people on the phone that I wasn't even doing my homework at night because I was on the phone for 4 hours straight. I ended up choosing the Steve Harvey Show, not for any particular reason, but I just felt it in my heart. That was the move that I should go with, and I did. And next thing you know, like less than a month later, I'm in LA and I'm filming the show and meeting all of the producers and getting my hair and makeup done by professionals, and that's never happened, and living my best life. And I'm taking it in, but I'm also like trying to live basically two lives, living this basically Hollywood-style life of being on TV because of a video that went viral, but also trying to be a 16-year-old and be a high schooler and keep up with my grades and develop my character. So that was a huge thing in my life. It was also like a challenging moment for me to focus on, either both of them or one of them. And I actually ended up choosing to focus way more on, my career than I was focusing on my schoolwork, which was not the best decision, but it's definitely a part of my stories.
Honestly, not a lot of 16-year-olds can say that they had that opportunity to choose between Ellen or Steve Harvey, so I can only imagine having to make that choice. So then from there, after the Steve Harvey Show, you were catapulted into another realm of just essentially fame by going on The Voice. So how did that decision get made? Was that something you decided to do? Did they reach out to you? Truthfully, don't know any of the behind the scenes and not sure what you're allowed to talk about or not talk about, but would love to hear more about how you decided to go for The Voice.
So The Voice is actually a journey that started in June of 2018. So it has been a long journey for sure. June of 2018, I went to an open call audition. It popped up on my feed, asked my mom if her schedule was open. We drove down to Atlanta. I was like, okay, I'm going to audition. Then I auditioned and made it past the first round, and then there was multiple auditions throughout the year. But actually, right near when the video was going viral, I received an email saying that I made it to the next stage of auditions, which there's 1 week of auditions before you are given the yes or no about having a blind audition, which is what you see on TV. So I get an email probably a few weeks before I move into the governor's school that they want to fly me to LA for an audition. The week that they had it was actually like the third week of school, which was going to be so weird because I'm going to have just settled in and, like just starting to make friends and figuring out my schedule and my classes and life in Greenville. But obviously I wasn't going to say no because I knew like I need to do this. This is an opportunity that is a lifetime of an opportunity, and I got to go. So it was like the third week of school that I ended up flying out to LA, did my audition, and that audition led to another yes, which was the final yes of getting a blind audition or not. And that actually was around the time that I was at Steve Harvey. So after my audition for The Voice in LA, I just drove over to the set and did the Steve Harvey filming, which was really convenient and awesome. But that just was another thing that was going on decide how much energy I wanted to put into. The Voice is something that can take off my career right now. So I focused so much more on the stuff that was happening right then and there, stuff that was going to be happening, help my career more quickly, I guess, than focusing on the governor's school, which would just give me more of an education on my future, which is totally important. And I think that it's so important that you focus and, do good in high school and stuff. But I definitely didn't take it as seriously as I should have because I was focusing on everything else that was going on. But basically, after I had that audition and I was given the yes about a blind, I went back home, kind of had to act natural, like nothing was going on. And then within the next month, I was back in LA again, which was, I mean, it was cool, but it was taking a toll on not only my body, because changing environments like that is crazy. East Coast, West Coast, East Coast, West Coast. Even though that month was the month that I auditioned for The Voice and, you know, had a chair turn, was like a great opportunity, but it also, I fell off. My grades slipped through so badly. And my friendships from the school and from home, like, started to fall apart because I started to put so much energy into The Voice and into the Steve Harvey Show and into the McDonald video and into making my career as good as it could be for the, you know, the amount of energy and recognition that I was getting, that I wasn't even focusing on anybody else and caring about anybody else. So it was an awesome month, and I learned a lot, and I grew close to people that are on the show and learned a lot as a musician. But I got home to like this broken world, like friends that didn't really want to talk to me because I kind of just, you know, didn't really talk to them, didn't really keep them in the loop on my life or anything. And it was a rough one. It was so rough, but it taught me so much. And I literally think about it all the time, like how I can be a better friend, how I can make more time for others, and try to prioritize things that are really important, and, you know, just live life day by day instead of thinking about the next day and the next day and the next year of my life, but just living in the moment, because that is something that I did not do. I was thinking about what I'd be doing in the next week, or, you know, what audition I'd be having, or what interview I'd be doing, or who would call me next week, or, you know, stuff like that. But it was an experience.
Yeah, it definitely seems like something that is unique and different and not really something that a typical high schooler or teenager would be struggling with on the daily. So it seems now that things have calmed down and you've had the chance to dwell back on everything that you have had in the last year plus. So do you have any advice that you'd give yourself, you know, or something that you wish you would have thought about or said to yourself a year ago?
One thing that I tried to remind myself of that actually helped me to make the decision to leave the governor's school was living in the moment, living in the day that I'm in the moment that I'm in, and not taking it for granted at all. Having that mindset helped me to realize that I need to slow down because things were going so fast. And even though it was a dream come true and an opportunity that has changed my life and has grown my following, it also happened so fast that I don't even think I can remember everything that happened. There were probably so many people that I could have been closer with, or people that I could have encouraged along the way, but I was so focused about everything else that was going to be coming in the next day or the next week or the next month that I was not living in the moment, that I was not taking in everything that I was doing, and that I was not admiring what I was doing. I was thinking about what was going to be happening at the end of the month, like when my audition was, what my audition would be, instead of practicing and hanging out with friends and getting to know more people on the show and stuff like that. And having that mindset of taking a pace and living in the moment helped me to make the decision that I needed to really just come back home, re-ground myself in my family and my faith and my music and everything, and just basically start from scratch again and reevaluate myself. Have definitely had to basically reevaluate my life and just focus on taking more of a pace and slowing down and living in the moment. And it has helped. It has helped a lot for sure. As my career has grown since then, like, I try to keep that at the forefront of my mind, to focus on the stuff that is important, that is in the moment, and that is going on right in front of me, instead of thinking about what's ahead. So that definitely would be something that I wish I would have told myself before all of that happened, and something that I would tell anybody who is especially trying to be in this industry, in this art world.
I think that's really helpful advice, honestly, for anybody, even a different story from your own or a different path. It's something that's really helpful no matter what part of life you're in. You always want to be moving on to the next thing or doing something, especially when you're really passionate about it, right? You are so passionate and so excited about something that you love doing. And so, I mean, I'm guilty of it even with this podcast. Whenever I get a new follower that's not a family member or a really good friend that's just supporting me, I get really excited and sometimes get lost in the madness of I need to be doing this or need to be doing that. So it's honestly helpful for anybody, I think. Wanted to change direction a little bit. So whenever you see these videos or photos or anything go viral, whether it be from a celebrity or a viral video of somebody that you've never met before, you'll see tons and tons of comments littered on the page about really positive things that people are saying. This is amazing. This is great. Great voice, whatever, what have you. Then there are also the negative comments and, whatever's wrong with them, they've got their own problem. But did you ever look through any of the stuff on your viral videos or any of the content when you were at your peak of fame during the past year? And if so, what was that like for you?
Yeah, so I always told myself that I would never be the person to read the negative comments, but obviously in the comments there's a mixture. Even if you're just trying to read the good ones, you're going to read a bad one every once in a while. I also am like the kind of person that I always want people to know that I see them, especially once I started to get more following. I wanted people to know that I'm still a person, that I see everyone who's commenting. I see the people who send messages. I know what it's like when someone who I idolize or look up to responds to a message that I send or likes my comment and how giddy it makes me. Like, I wanted to do that to people who commented, and I wanted them to know that, like, I love their support and I see them. So it was definitely a battle at first, whether I wanted to even look at them or not. I did read almost every comment that I could find, because there were definitely a lot of different pages and people who reposted the video who there's probably so many people that posted it now that I haven't even seen yet. But I did read the comments, and usually the negative ones, I would just go by and not think about it. And I wouldn't say that they fazed me in any way. Like, they never made me cry or upset or anything. But I'm sure in one way or another it did, get into my head at some point. Because, I mean, what doesn't? Like, anyone says anything negative about you, at some point it's gonna show, whether it's a year in advance or, the day after or in the moment that you're reading it. But my main focus was just loving on the people who were loving on me. I think that overall all the positive outweighed the negative, so it didn't really bother me if I saw a negative comment. Definitely, like, when The Voice happened, I really didn't want to read any of those comments because I know there's millions more people watching The Voice than there are watching my viral video. So I didn't really focus on the comments. I kind of just tried to live in the moment and just take in what was happening in my life.
I understand why you would and also would not want to. Just like you said, you kind of have to get tough skin in general. I mean, I don't have the toughest skin sometimes, and things that shouldn't really bother me still do. So I can only imagine when it comes to having more of the public eye, checking out everything that you're doing, it's got to be a little bit more difficult for you. So as this is a female-focused podcast, and sharing the stories about females and their journeys through life, and you're only 17 years old, so you still have a lot to go. So what's next? What is next on plate for you? You've got, you've already covered a lot more than most people. So what are you looking for? What do you have your eye on for your next steps?
I'm going into my senior year. I did just make the decision that I'm not going to go to college. My parents both, my dad went to school. He didn't finish, but he went to school and is going in school now. And my mom went to cosmetology school and does hair. And a lot of my family, they went to school, and people that I know that I'm close to, they all went to school. And that was something that I was struggling with a lot. Like, do I want to go to school or not? But definitely next steps are trying to get some music out there. And the hardest part is that it's expensive and it's very risky. You can pour your heart and money into something and someone could not like it. Taking that risk, do I want to invest in something that I care about if people don't care about it, or what if I invest in it and it ends up being amazing? There's just so many sides that it could go, and so it's definitely scary, but just kind of trying to finish high school for sure and save up to try to travel and do some music, whether it's gigging around live or recording and releasing things. Just trying to build myself mentally and physically for what is to come, because it could be something really big in the next year or next 6 months, or there's just so many ways that it can go, and I just want to be prepared for whatever happens. Definitely trying to just grow as a musician and as a person and try to get some music out there.
Yeah, that's great. So when you say you're making the decision not to go back to college, what was the main reasoning behind that? So why not college?
The biggest struggle for me in going to college is money, and even though I believe that if I invest enough time and energy and into my schoolwork and stuff and grades and SATs, I feel like I could get a scholarship to any school. But the biggest thing is would I want to invest in a school that I really want to go to and only be able to do my music part-time basically? Or would I rather, use the money that I would be putting towards school to just do music full time? And that was a big question for me, whether I wanted to spend it or not. And even if I got a scholarship, whether I wanted to go. Over the past few months, I've especially realized the days where I don't touch my guitar or write a song or do anything music related, I feel empty. It was one thing after another. I would go a few days without doing any sort of music and I would feel like I got nothing done. But the days where I was writing 4 songs a day and playing guitar and singing all night long, I felt like I was living my best life. And it just made me think, if I go to college and I'm doing schoolwork and I'm up studying all night and, working full time to try to pay for college or whatever, I wouldn't be able to do music full time the way I wanted to. And that was a big decision for me, because I wanted to go to school and I had my heart set on a lot of schools, and it was I need music in my every day, every second, and that was something I didn't want to really give up.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if you're passionate about it and you have proven success in it, I mean, why the heck not? Well, I'll be on the lookout for your album when, once you start getting that out there, I'll be an avid listener, and as will all of my podcast listeners too. So backtracking a little bit and looking back on your success over the last little bit, and when you grew in recognition and when you started to become more recognized and more viral across the space, did you feel at any point that your race or your gender or where you came from, your Southern accent or anything along those lines, did that influence or hinder your success at all?
Well, one that you didn't say is age, and age is 100% something that has hindered or pushed back on a lot of things that have happened for me in my life. A lot of decisions that were made, whether my parents wanted me to pursue something or go somewhere to do music or modeling or acting or anything in the art area, was because I was too young. I'm constantly told by people, you can wait, don't rush into the music career. You have so many years ahead of you. You're only 17. I get that comes from a place of protection. I can do anything. If I set my heart to it, I'm going to do it. I don't care how old I am. And that was a thing for me. I want to do it while I know I have the burning passion, because, in a month I could wake up and be like, okay, music's not my thing anymore. I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a lawyer, or I want to be a scuba diver. Who knows? But while I have this burning passion in my heart, I'm going to do it. I'm going to run with it, and I'm going to do it to the fullest, exceed all the limits if I can. So age has definitely been a thing, especially when I was on The Voice. On the episode of my battle round, actually, my coach, Blake Shelton, mentioned in his decision that my battle partner had more experience than me. For me, it was a stab in the heart. No matter how much I wanted to defend myself there, I can't, because she's 20 years older than me. And that was just a big thing for me. Age should never be an issue, because some young people can be way better at this than this person that is 30 years or 40 years old. And so age has always been a thing for me, and I've always wanted to defy the odds. I wanted to prove to the world that it doesn't matter how old you are. And it's definitely so empowering to me to see when younger kids are successful and thriving in their career, and they're passionate and they're killing it. And it's just helped me to know that like nothing can hold me back. So age has definitely been a big thing. But as far as everything else, gender, race, I honestly don't think I've experienced enough in the industry. If people have excluded me or kept me out because of anything other than age, I don't think that anything else has really been like an issue.
Well, I mean, I admire your passion. It's definitely hard to hear from people, you're too young for that, or you don't have enough experience, especially when Blake Shelton says it. I mean, that's tough, but it's true. I mean, you do have time, and I'm sure you probably hate me saying that, but that's true. I didn't even think about age being a factor of discrimination, especially in the industry. And honestly, what people don't realize is they market the industry of entertainment or singing, acting, dancing, anything along those lines. I feel like the younger you are, the more marketable you are. But then again, I don't really know much. So I would think that, the younger, the better. This is kind of jumping around a little bit, but for the listeners out there, one of them in particular is a huge Voice fan and a huge Voice advocate. Can you tell us anything about Blake and what the behind the scenes looked like?
Blake Shelton, I mean, I literally call him Uncle Blake because he is literally like your best friend uncle. That uncle that is so cool and so chill and makes you laugh all the time. I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him, but for every minute that I was around him, I felt so comfortable. I felt at ease. I felt like I was appreciated, that I was taken seriously. He gives the best hugs, and that is something that I definitely miss, is a Blake Shelton hug. But yeah, he's got such a big heart, and it's so evident, and he is very passionate about everyone that walks into that room. Definitely learned a lot from him and feel very honored to have worked with him.
I can imagine. I would love to work with Blake Shelton. He's definitely seems like one of the favored coaches on The Voice. So it's awesome that you had the experience to meet with him. So the only other question that I have for you is in trend with my podcast and with keeping with the She Plus experience. I want to extend an invite to somebody else on my podcast from your circle. So do you have any recommendations or suggestions for who should be next?
Yes, I would 100% recommend Grace Presley. And she is the founder of this amazing company called Your Story Worth Loving. And she is an amazing human being, and she strives to empower women and men also, but really women, and encouraging them to take pride and love in their stories and know that their stories matter, and that no matter what they've gone through, that they can still be loved and that they are worthy. So I would 100% recommend her. And I hope you can get her on here, because she would tear the house down with a bunch of stuff to tell you.
Well, she sounds like she'd be a perfect fit for my podcast, especially with the message and everything. All right. Well, that's everything that I have for you. I really, really appreciate you coming on and taking the time to speak to your experiences and your journey. I've learned a lot, and I'm excited to share this with our audience. So I really appreciate you taking the time. I think you are headed out soon for a gig tonight. So good luck to you. And I wish you luck with everything on your journey and everything that's coming up next for you.
Thank you. It was so much fun.